Well, good morning, everybody. It's Thursday, March 4th. And as we like to say every morning, wow, how the time flies. But we're glad that you're here with us today. I'm Brad Neufeld,
I'm Tamara K. Anderson.
And I'm Jay Walther.
and this is your morning kickstart right here on the Resilience Talk Network. And we're so glad to have you this morning. We'd like to kick this off here with a positive quote. And that's from the man, the myth, the legend, Mr. Jay Walther.
Well, we're thank you, Brad. We're continuing our week of Jim Rohn quotes. He says, "Take advantage of every opportunity to practice your communication skills, so that when important occasions arise, you will have the gift, the style, the sharpness, the clarity, and the emotions to affect other people." So you need to practice it. Communication came hard for me. It comes hard for me. And so practicing communicating with people, talk with people, read, learn, study, talk, and that will help you in your daily activities. And when something important happens where you need to really communicate, you'll have that skill.
Yeah, because communication, I think that was something we talked about last week. People need people.
Yeah.
So
They
and
do.
so
They do. You don't realize how easily this comes to most people. I have two sons on the autism spectrum, and communication is often something that kiddos on the spectrum struggle with. And so sometimes you have to show them what communication is supposed to look like so they can learn that, versus most children just learn it by observing it. And so it's interesting. It comes easily to some, but not to others, and they have to be taught.
Yeah. Well, and I find most problems happen due to miscommunication. If you miscommunicate,
I agree with you there.
understanding, there's hurt feelings, there's things don't get done right. It causes a lot of problems.
Yeah. Well, our resilience tip for the day, again, it's just amazing to me how these just kind of join together. But I want to talk about that this point about we do need others in our life, but don't be afraid to ask for the help you need. And I know this is hard, especially for us guys here. We don't like to ask for help. Like if we go into Walmart and we need a bright, pretty pink sewing thread, we're gonna we're gonna go through turn over every shelf on the store, and we're gonna find it on our own when all we had to do was simply ask and they could point us right to it. But this is also a thing that I notice. I've had the opportunity to interview successful people of pretty high stature throughout the world, and this was something that was pretty interesting to me because I would ask them all the time, are you just born with this talent or skill that you have? Every one of them, 100% of them, just shook their head and said, absolutely not. I was lucky to have good people in my life that I could learn from, that could be my coach, that could be somebody who I could look up to. And so that was one of the principles I started teaching, was winners follow the instructions of their coaches. And so I heard an interview with Michael Jordan, and he would say it after every championship, all six of them. He would say, yes, I put my talent out on the floor, but if it wasn't for my coach, Phil Jackson, we would not have won this championship. Because the coach has the ability, because he's been there, done that. He's already been through all of the junk that needs to be for them to see things differently. So it helps to go to somebody who's already doing the thing that you want to do. Go to people who are successful and see what they're doing and follow what they do. It's amazing how quickly you can get that success in your life. I also like to throw this out there too, because again, back to that self-made millionaire myth. You've got to ask people for help if you're ever going to learn the things that you need to learn to get where you want to go. I went through a time, and I'm going to be a little vulnerable here, where I was that proud guy. Nobody's going to tell me what to do, and I can do it all myself. But guess what? I was hurting. I'd lost everything. All my income had gone away, and it was everything I could do to keep a roof over my kids' heads. And nothing was working, and I was just on the verge of losing everything. Matter of fact, we had lost a lot of things. I had cars repossessed and everything else. And I had one of my spiritual leaders call me into his office one day, and he asked me, Brad, there's something going on in your life and we need to get to the bottom of it. And I'm like, no, everything's fine. I'm good. All I got to do is wait a couple more weeks. I got some things coming in. And he says, Brad, you're not hearing me. We're not leaving this office until we get to the bottom of it. But after a couple of back and forths there, I realized, okay, I'm not getting out of this. I busted down crying. And I just said, yeah, nothing's going right. I got to figure this out. But he taught me something pretty valuable. He asked me the question, when you think of pride, or proud rather, when you hear the word proud, what do you think of? And I said, well, I think of people with their nose up in the air, looking down on me, judging me. He goes, no, pride is when you need help and you won't ask for it.
Hmm.
That changed my life. I have no problem if I want to find that fuzzy pink thread, going to the first person I see there in the Walmart and saying, where can I find fuzzy pink thread? And they tell me the aisle number and I love it. So that's his attitude. I say, lose the tude, dude. Don't be afraid to ask for the things that you need.
Yep.
Absolutely.
So that's our tip for the day. And now I'd like to turn it over to Tamara K. Anderson to give us our fun fact for the day.
All right.
This is my favorite segment, the fun fact of the day. So I love
that sounds great. So today, Thursday, March 4th, this is actually this whole week of March, the first week of March is Write a Letter Appreciation Week. Okay, since 2011, Write a Letter Appreciation Week has been a holiday that encouraged people to write letters instead of texts and emails saying thank you. And whatever emotion or sentiment comes to mind, write that. And writing letters makes the writer more considerate of the words chosen. So if you're actually writing it by hand, it helps people pay closer attention to grammar and encourages better handwriting. So the goal of this holiday is to give people a better option and remind them to write personal letters that show appreciation. So let me just ask you, when was the last time either of you got a handwritten note saying how much you were appreciated?
Oh, it's been a long time.
Yeah. I can't remember the last one I've got.
Me neither. I'm going through my memory banks. It's been
right. I happened to get one just the other week. I recorded a podcast with a wonderful woman, and she wrote me a thank you note, and it got delivered like the next week. And I was just blown away. I was like, oh my goodness. I don't think anybody has ever written me a thank you note for interviewing them on my podcast, like a handwritten one. I've gotten plenty of emails, but it meant so much to me to get that handwritten note saying thank you. I can't even tell you. I don't know why it's so much more meaningful. Maybe because it takes so much more effort to actually write it out and hand deliver it, or to put it in the post office, but it means so much to people when you actually write something handwritten and deliver it. So today, I'd love to invite each of you out there to write a simple note to someone on a piece of paper. It can be somebody in your family, but write it and either mail it or hand deliver it, because I promise you, a handwritten note means the world to people.
Well, thank you for that tip for the day. That's something I need to. See, I'm being guilty again, Jay.
I don't do it to make anybody guilty, but it does make a world of difference to people.
And you're absolutely right. It's interesting how the small things make the biggest difference, and we tend to get away from that in our automated world here.
We do.
So anyway, well, we'd like to thank everybody for joining us here on Thursday, March 4th for our morning kickstart. Again, we are Resilience Talk Network. You can go to our website, resiliencetalknetwork.com, where you can click on the link right on the home page there that says Listen Live, and you'll have access to our 24/7 streaming shows on there, where we interview people from all around the world, people who have overcome big obstacles in their life, have been dealt a very severe hand of disability or whatever the case may be, and they've been able to overcome it. But there's several stories on there that we're sure that you'll relate to, that can help you in your journey to gaining this resilience to help you become successful at what it is that you want. Please be sure, if you're watching this on our YouTube channel especially, would you hit the subscribe button? That would help us out a lot to get the message out to many more people. Although our audience is growing fast, we're grateful again for everybody listening to us. We'd like to reach as many people as we possibly can with this. And so anyway, thank you for joining us today, and we'll see you tomorrow.